Good evening and welcome to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen Workshop. It is June 30th, 2022 and it is 6:30 p.m. The prayer on Tuesday night will be with Pastor Randy Berg. The Pledge of Allegiance will be with Alderman Waldron. You should all have a copy of the minutes from the June 7th, 2022 public hearing as well as the regular meeting that same night. We will have one presentation. Then we'll have the departmental reports. Moving on to old business, second reading ordinance 2022-15, an ordinance to amend the City of Verne fee schedule regarding rates for record services. This is second reading. Does anyone have any questions on this? Moving on to the consent agenda, let's start off with approved city bids and purchases. Miss Felicia.
Mayor, Alderman, let's be patient. I gotta get through this.
We've got a few items.
The first item I have is a vehicle for the sewer department. It is a SUV, and it is on the state contract. The cost is $34,729. It will be purchased from Port of Murfreesboro off the state contract. We have to order it, so.
So it's not in.
When I say we order something, I'm not promising it. We're just trying to get it in. The next item is a dump truck for the sewer department. And this is a big one because it's $185,042.60. But it will also have snowplow attachments. So it multi-use. Then the next one is a dump truck for the water department. It will be an identical vehicle, same price, $185,042.60, and it will have snow plow attachments. Now both of these will have to be ordered. Okay, the next item is pursuit vehicles for police. 5 of them are on the lot. We have 5. We will get 5 for sure, but the other 5 will have to be ordered. And as you can see, the first 5 are $33,881, but the next 5 will be, the first 5, the next 5 will be $38,086 each.
And the difference is just basically them being on lot versus
The price went
order.
up.
Yeah.
And when I get further along, you're gonna see more. Then we have the radar units for the patrol vehicles. At $2,518 each. That's off the state of Tennessee contract. The next one is a vehicle for off-state contract for a water break truck with the equipment. It is an F-450. It'll be from Port of Murfreesboro off the state contract. That price is $82,597. The next item is the truck with a 450 for the street department with snowplow attachments. That truck will have to be ordered, and it is off the state contract at $87,598. Okay, the next item I have is a John Deere cab utility tractor with equipment off the Sourcewell contract. That price is $88,799.48. I'm taking it that I'm not getting any questions, and I'm going slow here.
I've got a couple, but I'll wait till you get done.
Oh, okay. We can stop and you can ask them if you'd like.
If you've got something, ask it.
Okay, the first
So I don't
one
get
is,
confused again.
on the dump trucks, it's showing the pictures, are they all single axle?
Yes, sir, they are. Single axle, non-CDL.
Non-CDL.
But that's gonna be heavy duty enough to haul salt and stuff with? Okay, and my second question is, trucks, cars, everything, ETA, if you order it? I know, that's why I wanted to wait.
And and that's why I said we're ordering. I'm not promising when it'll be here.
So they've not promised
Because
you anything?
last July, we ordered a truck that's not here yet.
I got you.
Now, the five of the 10 police cars
Are on the lot.
here. They're on the lot. They're ready for us to take ownership of. But the other 5, it's Ford of Murfreesboro, so
And
Hopes and
those
prayers.
5 are 2022 models.
Yes.
Ones we'll be ordering are 2023 models.
Okay. I just didn't wanna hurt
That's
you.
why that's why I'm trying to explain that
Okay.
the situation we're in with vehicles especially is we're at their mercy. The
I've
state
been hearing,
contract was renegotiated, so some of the prices went way above what we were expecting, or what we even budgeted.
I've just been hearing some of the war stories about that stuff.
Yep, we've been having them.
Okay.
One question for the police.
Mm-hmm.
On the vehicles and the equipment, that's everything you need for the vehicles?
That's the radar specifically. The other equipment is, I think, built into the actual bid
It
price.
is,
So
So with the 2 bids, you get everything that you need with the vehicles? Everything's
that's
in
my
it?
understanding, sir.
Thank you.
No,
No,
No.
typically we'll still have to buy the computers.
Yes,
We'll
we'll-
have to buy some other things for them.
you'll have to
That'll
buy
be a
the,
separate purchase that we'll have
Yes.
to bring back. Now, some of this may transfer over from existing vehicles.
that have,
So I'm not sure
Been
how
wrecked or
much will be purchased new that we'll have to bring before you, but the typical price of a police vehicle is around $75,000 with equipment and everything. The vehicle is usually about half of the cost of
So
everything we need.
the 5 that we
Usually.
presently have, we've got everything for them. We're just waiting on them to be put
No.
So
together.
we've got the vehicle, we will have the vehicle, we will have the radar ordered, and then
Right.
we'll see what items can transfer over from existing cars and then go from there.
right, there's always the chance that we're gonna have to go back and buy computers for them, depending on if the computer is available. There's other equipment in them that, and they take the back seats out to make them a little more easier to transport.
Anyone have any other questions on what we've already covered? Okay, on to number 9.
Okay. Number 9, that is the mower for the Parks and Rec Department. It is a Sourcewell purchase for $13,166, and they'll be getting it from Lewisburg Garden Center. And then, let me turn it over. We have a Sourcewell contract price for 2 utility vehicles because they were able, the Toro was so expensive, they were able to get the 2 Kubotas and only be $366 difference, so that will be taken out of small items of equipment. So the total will be $24,576.29 for 2 utility vehicles for the Parks Department.
We've used Kubota before, is that right, David?
Okay, and then we have the Sourcewell contract purchase price for a mini excavator for the water department. And that's $72,190, and that will come from Scott Equipment here in Laverne. Any further questions?
So is this the one that Mike will be able to borrow, or will it strictly?
Well, Mike's over all of it, so he
Yeah,
can do what he
this is
wants
the water
to.
department, so,
No, I'm talking about different departments. Will different departments be able to
yes, if needed,
borrow it if needed?
yes.
I wasn't picking on
Well,
Mike.
they're
I
all
just-
over, they're all over there, they're all under Mike, so
He was
yes, sir,
just
they
sitting there and I was
have to
looking
share
at
it.
him.
Yeah, Public Works is now consolidated, so Mike's over the whole thing. Okay, we've got GSA contract purchase, the network switches and the installation. This is where we've been working on the new fiber project for the city, and essentially it will install new network switches at Fire Station 42 and at the field press box for Veterans Memorial. And then it will reconfigure some of our existing switches to take advantage of the new network. Does anyone have any questions? Glenn, you want to add anything with this?
No, sir, you summed it up.
This is your wheelhouse. Okay, the next one, we've got a sole source purchase, cablecast equipment for Channel 3. This was discussed at the budget retreat, budget workshops. This is just equipment for our Channel 3 system. We've got, of course, the current equipment in Channel 3 has been used for the last 18 years, and, well, we've all seen technology has changed since then. It's also in the process of being discontinued. So this will basically correct a lot of that and replace it. The cost of the equipment is $37,919. It's about $8,000 over what we budgeted in the actual budget we just passed. So the excess amount will come from another line item in the public relations budget, or there may be a budget amendment later on. But does anyone have any questions about this? And do you or Jerry want to add anything with this? I know this is part of y'all's wheelhouse, but I figure I'd give you a chance. This does include functionality to cast Channel 3 to Apple TV and Roku as well. So kind of catching up with the streaming world. Moving on to B, approved street paving list for the fiscal year 2022-2023. The total cost for this is $1,222,294.02. The following roads will be paved. We've got Lake Road, David's Way, Laverne Lane, Bill Stewart, Murray Lane, Holland Ridge, Mason Road. And so the estimate from Hawkins Asphalt is in your packet as well. Does anyone have any questions? Bruce? You want to touch on the staff recommendation?
Yes, sir, that would be good.
Okay, yeah. The staff recommendation is to use $700,000 from the budget amount on Laverne Lane, David's Way, Lake Road, Murray Road, Mason Road, and then bring the rest of it back through the Board of Mayor and Aldermen for a budget amendment. Does anyone have any questions on that? Moving on to C, approve quote and purchase addendum to the purchase agreement with Motorola Solutions, Spillman Technologies for Solutions 2, managed application monitoring and managed services for the police department service. This is a 5-year agreement. Cost is $42,456. This includes everything for the Linux operating system that we use. It's got all the patches, monitoring, backup recovery, all of it. Does anyone have any questions? Moving on to D, approve agreement for engineering services with CTI Engineering Incorporated for Fergus Road Interceptor Sewer Line Project. And do we have anybody from CTI here tonight? Mike, you want to come up and talk about this?
Yes, sir, I can. See John here. This is a sewer line located on just off of Murfreesboro Road. It's the Fergus Road force main that leaves our pump station. It has collapsed in different sections over the last few years, and we are recommending replacement of that section. We've done CCTV identified the area that is in the most need. So this is something that we're asking to move on up the list as a priority. It's like I said, just behind the bank and the old comb station, if you will, for reference.
Does anyone have any questions? Thank you, Michael.
Thanks, sir.
Let's see here. Moving on to E, approve the fiscal year 2022-23 contract with the Tennessee Department of Transportation for maintenance of Murfreesboro Road. This is our annual contract with TDOT. It comes up the beginning of every fiscal year. So the maximum amount the city can receive from the state for this contract is $29,564.46. Does anyone have any questions? F, approve statement of work for health and benefits brokerage and advisory services with Willis Towers Watson. So the city did a request for proposals, and that was in April. It closed out May 13th. And so this was services related to capital brokerage services for all the cities, similar to one we've used before. The city received 3 proposals, but only one was received by the actual deadline. 2 were received late, so those could not be opened. If this is approved, the city would pay Wilson Tower Watson $75,000 annually for their services. Does anyone have any questions? This is related to of course, our medical, vision, dental, and disability coverage. Seeing none. G, approve amendment 22-1 to grant contract 2019-37 with the Greater Nashville Regional Council for the fiscal year 2022-2023. This is the annual grant with the Senior Center. It is $28,800. Does anyone have any questions? Moving on to H, we've got authorize the city to submit an application for the Blue Cross Blue Shield Healthy Place Grant. So this is a grant that we ran across from 2 years ago, almost 3, and it is a grant through Blue Cross Blue Shield Foundation. They're investing $750,000 with each project, and it builds turnkey playground services. So this is a 100% fully funded grant, and so it would be definitely something good for our city if we got this. Does anyone have any questions about this grant? Moving on to I, amend the Parks and Recreation Department Community Building Reservation Policies and Procedures. You should all have it attached to your packet. There is no financial packet in here. It's just changing some items that are no longer relevant, like cash deposits for reservations within 2 weeks, building rental assistance language, that kind of stuff. Does anyone have any questions? Moving on to J, approve adverse weather insurance coverage for Old Timers Festival. So we will hope and pray that this is not needed. But the cost is $1,250. It'll provide $20,000 of coverage. The coverage amount is for Friday night is $6,000, and the coverage amount for Saturday is $14,000. And this is all funded through the Old Timers Festival budget. Does anyone have any questions? Moving on to K, approve telecommunications service agreement with TDS to upgrade the city's main internet connection for all city buildings. I absolutely love this one. This is going to upgrade the city's internet from 250 megabytes to a gig, and the cost is $865 per month, which is a savings for the city of $235 a month from what we're currently paying for much slower service. I'm very excited about this one. I know there's a couple of different department heads that have to use Wi-Fi that are very excited about this. Does anyone have any questions on that? Moving on to L, approve proposal for VC3 for email mitigation from Exchange 2003 to Office 365. And you did not hear me wrong. I did say 2003. Again, it's upgrading our technology. The cost for this is $45,240. We did allocate in the budget about $36,000, so the remaining will be taken out of another line item for IT. But we do believe that they will have the funds for that this year. One question, Glenn, for you with this, and I've already hit Bruce with it, but I'm gonna ask you to confirm. I know we've been having some email issues specifically with Gmail, with sending out to them. Will this resolve that issue?
Yes, it should.
Wonderful, wonderful. Does anyone else have any questions about getting up to current technology?
It's good to hear that we're moving from 2003 to 2020.
You know,
Yes.
I wasn't gonna say nothing. I was gonna let it go.
Oh, I'm gonna beat this dead horse to death a second time. Phew. And M, approve proposal from Smarsh for text message and email archiving services. And so this is just a service that will back up text messages and email services easier and thoroughly for our city. It's much more efficient. And the way technology is moving, this just allows that for records requests from whatnot, whether it's related to a lawsuit, to have that a lot easier accessible. Does anyone have any questions on this? Okay. Now that we're done with the consent agenda, let's move on to new business. First reading ordinance 2022-16, an ordinance to amend the fiscal year 2021-2022 State Street Aid budget. So this is just cleaning up a little bit from last year. So they incurred some expenses for paving, and that's just, of course, we've all seen inflation. The budget amendment for this item, which it's all related to paving, is $180,000, and there are funds available for this. Does anyone have any questions? First reading ordinance 2022-17, an ordinance to amend the fiscal year 2021-2022 stormwater fund budget. And this is additional engineering costs for the public works facility that the stormwater budget will need to be amended for. It's approximately $150,000. And again, there's money in this to cover this. Does anyone have any questions? Moving on to 8, first reading ordinance 2022-18, an ordinance to amend the City of Laverne zoning ordinance by changing the official zoning map for tax map 28, parcel 10 and 11, consisting of approximately 4.3 acres located at 237 and 245 Cheney Boulevard, from an agricultural zoning district to a R3 high-density zoning district. This received a favorable recommendation from the Planning Commission on May 31st, 2022. The applicant has withdrawn this request, so there is no action required by the board for this. This is more of paper trail housekeeping because the Planning Commission had already met and convened by the time it was withdrawn. So all this is just paperwork, and this will not be voted on. Moving on to number 9, Resolution 2022-17. A resolution to authorize the mayor to enter into a contract for the purchase of real property for the future fire department training center. So we are all aware the fire department has for several years been looking for property, and David Waldron with the Laverne Church of Christ has approached the city about that, and so the property is across the street from the fire admin building, or what will soon become Fire Station 41. And it's right behind property the city already owns. So a map is in there in all of your packets. An appraisal has been completed, but before the city can negotiate with the property owner on this, the board has to give the authority to the mayor. So at this time, there's no final costs. Once we have that, it will all come back before this board for it to be reviewed, discussed, and debated. Does anyone have any questions? Seeing none, moving on to number 10, motion to terminate the league facility user agreement with Tennessee Strikers softball and baseball. David Mcgowan, I believe this is yours.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Board, thank you for letting us come up tonight. We have a packet we're going to pass out to you guys, if that's okay.
Can you get closer to the microphone, please?
Thank you for letting us come up tonight. We have a packet we'd like to pass out to you guys, if that's okay, so you can have the documentation.
Thank you.
You guys can see on the agenda, this is a request from the Park and Rec Department to terminate their current contract with Tennessee Strikers. They're currently in their second year of a third-year contract with the city, but they have been operating the rec league for 3 years. We don't feel like they're properly equipped to run a successful rec league. What you guys have in front of you is a email trail over some concerns we've had in the past, as well as a picture trail. Some as current as 2 weeks ago. Be more than happy to answer any questions. Got the Parks supervisor with me, Andrew Stoffel. He's pretty much the go-between on a daily basis, so he's more than welcome to come up. If you guys have questions, he'll answer them for you also.
Can you just kind of walk us through a little bit of this, you or Andrew, to just explain high level?
I don't know if you want to, we can kind of bypass the emails if you want. The emails kind of coincide with the pictures though. So if you go to some pictures, these are some concerns we've had dated back to November 18th. In the agenda packet that we sent you guys has the formal letters that we notified the strikers of our concerns. We don't feel like those have been taken care of or met. We feel like it's a never-ending battle trying to stay on top of the cleanliness of our facilities. Like I said, you were more than welcome to look through the pictures. If you have any questions, we'll definitely answer them for you. But like I say, the pictures do coincide with the email trail.
So, Mr. Mayor, I see that we have some coaches here in the boardroom, and I've talked to several of them, and I know their concerns, and I want them to know that things are not what they seem on the exterior. Besides the point that David has had problems, my understanding, and David, Andrew, you can correct me, you've had a lot of concerns over the last 3 years with communication. From some of the emails that I've read, and that pretty much explains that. Something else that concerns me, and we talked a little bit about it, you've had some problems with getting paid, the city getting paid.
The thing about the contract, I don't think we attached the contract to y'all's packet.
Yes,
but
it's in the packet.
That contract was presented to us from the strikers. They presented that to us. Everything in that contract was presented to us. Anything we thought we needed to make revisions on, we did. Took it back to them. They okayed it. It came before council and the board. That is an issue we have. Per the contract, he owes the city a certain amount of money for fields that are in use. It's kind of like pulling teeth to get that out. An email went out Monday for payment for 3 weeks that we have not received. 3 dates. So every time they hold a tournament, that fee is set there, which was adjusted per the municipal code per their request. The field rental went from $150 a day to $50. That was proposed by them. So that's not a contract we wrote, that was a contract we were on board with to kind of get them off their feet and get them some more money going. But yeah, the email went out, I think they owe the city $1,200 as of this past Monday.
So, Felicia stepped up this year and she's done all she can do with what she's been given to do with. And I know we've talked about it. When this whole thing came around, I was 100% focused, as you was, on rec ball. Now, tournaments, you have to have them to make some money. It's a fact of life. Been there, done that for 20 years. But when tournaments become the primary focus for this, that's where we get into some problems. I think instead of one or maybe even squeezing out 2 games a week, there should be 3 or 4. The kids should be playing on the weekends. That's when the parents can come out, grandparents, things like that. So I think in this particular case with this program, it's a combination of things that seems to be the issue. The cleanup, you went up there, and this is not an isolated incident, correct?
Correct.
This has been done numerous times.
Yes, sir.
The concession stands, from the pictures that I seen, if health department were to come in, they'd shut that down.
I agree 100%.
Now-
Mr. Randolph has a copy of it. He could probably weigh in on that also. Andrew can come up and speak. The last tournament they had the weekend of June 19th was a Sunday. Andrew got a call from the person that was hosting the tournament, saying she knew the contract and who was responsible for taking care of the facilities, but it wasn't a black eye on them, it was a black eye on Laverne Parks and the city of Laverne. Mind you, this agenda item was already created before that date took place. This was already prepared to come before you guys, before what we experienced on June 19th.
I think this is really a bad place to be, but I'm for the children of Laverne. I'm not saying that tournaments are not important. I think they are. I think you need them. But we didn't submit this contract. They submitted a contract. It was up to them to live up, take care of the fields, garbage,
Yes, sir.
organization. But it's my understanding that they've only gotten like 1, maybe 2 people every season to run this league.
Yeah, and you know, if anybody's been involved in organized youth sports, you know it takes a board set up to run that. 1 person cannot do it, 2 people cannot do it. You have to have a board in place. The meetings we have had with that organization, we suggested putting a board in place. As far as I know, there's 1 person responsible for the league.
So you all did, in fact, speak to them about putting a board in place.
Yeah, you've got to. Any organization would have to have a board in place. And Andrew, feel free to come up if there's something I'm leaving out or you want to jump in. It got to the point, if you can go to page 5, that was the field condition on April the 11th. Our rec league kids had already started playing. That's what they were playing on. That's totally unacceptable to us as a parks department. Our crew started maintaining those fields as of that day.
So obviously, in my opinion, this, it's just not working out.
You know, we came before you guys, they were already in place before Andrew and I were in place where we're at now. When they came back with the second contract, proposed the new contract, we were on board with that because the numbers were trending in the right direction. I don't, at one time this league held 1,200 kids, 1,600 kids. Will we ever get back to that number? I don't know. I think we can get half that number. I think there was, when I grew up here in 1978 playing baseball over here at the co-op field, I believe we had more kids playing then than we have now. That's not a knock on who's running the rec league. That's just a knock on the organizational is not there to get things in place. When you're scrambling to get these kids uniforms, or you're scrambling at the last minute, this was taken, we as a parks department would have brought this before you guys in November or December when we saw this. We needed to give them the opportunity to fix it, because at that time, if it was pulled from them in November or December, we wouldn't have had any chance to have a spring ball league. So some kind of a resemblance of a spring ball league was better than none. Now we're going into the fall. If it gets pulled, we won't have a fall league. That's regrettable, but in our determination, that's probably a necessary step for us to take to have a successful spring next year. They didn't have a fall league last year. I think the spring league, and they may have had, I've got an email that I can forward to you guys on your request. Some teams may have had 5 games in the spring last year. There was no fall league. They were notified of our intentions on June 19th. That email went out. They proceeded to take sign-ups for the fall league after they were aware that this was coming before you guys.
That's what I was just reading.
So you guys put us here to do what we think is best for the kids of Verne and our department, and terminating this contract we feel like is in the best interest of the city.
If we do that, have you all got some, and I'm sure you won't be able to disclose them right now, but do you have any ideas?
For what we would do with the fall? If this well,
Like I said,
we
you don't
have some
to-
ideas that may get us through the fall internally, just so the kids stay involved. As far as an organization to run the league, that would have to go out for an RFP. So we would open that up to anybody that wants to bid. I think it's been a nonprofit and for-profit in the past, so I'm not sure that matters if it's a for-profit organization or a nonprofit. We realize tournaments drive the rec league, but we don't want when you have a rec league in and they have tournaments, that's to drive the rec league and support the rec league. When you have a travel ball organization running it in and you see what shape our rec league is in, that makes you step back and question what's really going on and what's the best direction for our department.
When you spoke to them about some of this concession stand stuff, the grease and nasty, what was their response?
I think that first email went out on November the 8th. He did respond on maybe the 23rd. They did do some cleanup, but what you see there in those pictures, our crew actually took care of that 1st of January. So they did do some cleanup, but those pictures you see of that grease, that's not the griddle, that's the table that the griddle sits on. Page 4. Our crews took care of that. Our crews took care of the bathrooms this past weekend and the trash at the tournament. What you see on page 7, 8, 9, and 10, those were taken 2 weeks ago. And we do have other pictures similar to that, but those are the most recent. So when somebody comes into that on a Sunday morning, they're not looking at who's hosting the tournament that weekend. They're looking at Laverne Park and Rec, you guys dropped the ball. We're looking at Laverne Park and Rec, you dropped the ball. The next thing that's gonna happen is you guys are gonna be getting calls, city administrator's gonna be getting calls. Why did Park and Rec drop the ball?
Seems like there was some, and I'm not trying to rehash anything, seemed like there was some problems with even trying to find out when opening days and stuff were.
That email chain is in your packet also. We included that. If you can look at, the email sent on March 29th, basically says, Board of Mayor and Aldermen, would like to be there. We attached all of y'all's emails to that. I think the email went out inviting you guys. That was March 29th. The email inviting you guys to opening night was sent out April the 20th at 11:45 for a 5:40 opening night. So you had 6 hours' notice to be there. After that was requested twice, to reach out to you guys. And trust me, it's not something we're coming before you guys lightly, because we want to see success. When I came in 12 years ago, Andrew came in probably 10 years ago, we knew what it was at one time. 1,200 kids, 1,600 kids, fall league, 600 kids, 700 kids. There's a bunch of kids that have come into Verne since then that are going to other places to play. If Smyrna's taking kids and turning them away, why are our numbers not growing?
Yeah, you'd made the statement about getting it back. I don't know that it'll ever get back to that kind of magnitude, but I think that it's got to be worked towards. It's got to have a board. It's got to have parents. Like I said, it just seems like it's been, but I guess you and Andrew's been dealing with it directly. It just seems like it's been not a very good thing. As far, and I know that's been going on, and we've not said nothing with the coaches and kids because we don't want to interrupt what little bit of playtime and stuff they've got, but we need more games. We need to be playing on the weekends. If there's tournaments once in a while, that's okay. But this league is not about travel ball. This league is about rec ball. Travel ball is secondary, but it's become, in my opinion, it's become travel ball is number one. Kids are not and I don't mean Laverne kids only. We've got some children, my understanding, from Smyrna, Antioch, Nolensville, that are coming to play, and they want to play more ball because they're not good enough to play travel ball. They're not good enough to play in those tournaments on the weekend. So I think that we need to move forward. 3 years is ample time.
David, I've got one simple question. I've been listening, but I've been reading through some of the emails and the pictures. I do have a question about one of the emails because it mentions, and this is one from a week or two ago. It mentions from the strikers organization that these concerns will be brought up to the board. But you said there is no board.
No, he was saying, that was my email to them saying that our concerns would be brought before the board, I think. Which date do you have?
June 19th, 10:46 a.m. from the strikers, and it was to you and Andrew and Miss Mace.
I believe he said, let me see where I'm at.
About halfway down.
I believe that he was referring to that he was going to be here tonight and express his concerns to you guys,
Okay.
to our board.
Well, I will agree with Steve. At least for me, this is about our kids first and primarily. The Laverne League should be for Laverne and for the kids that are here before travel ball. Alderman Coates, Alderman Waldron, do y'all have anything y'all want to ask or add?
Just,
Evan, legally, what do you think?
Well, it's completely up to y'all whether you want to terminate it or not.
for me, it's just disappointing to obviously see the pictures and reading the correspondence. It's just, it appears one-sided.
As far as the terms of the contract, Evan, in your view, they've definitely been broken, and we can,
Yeah, I don't think there's any question that you have grounds to terminate it if you want to.
Alderman Coates, anything else?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Okay, thank you, David. Number 11, motion to approve a letter of intent from Trinidad Benham Corporation to purchase the Public Works facility located at 148 International Boulevard. Let me hop over to that. So this board adopted a resolution to authorize me to negotiate a contract for the sale and lease of the Public Works facility. Since that time, we've had an appraisal obtained, and negotiations have taken place between the city and representatives for Trinidad Benham, who are here tonight, who own the neighboring property, if you're not familiar with that area. So a letter of intent was submitted to outline terms of purchase and a lease back. Funds from the sale of the property would be used to fund the new Public Works facility on East near Shriveman. The appraisal came back at $1,300,000. The offer to purchase, the negotiated price is $1,500,000. After closing, the buyer will lease back the property for 1 year, and then there's also a section in here for two separate 6-month extensions, depending on if that's needed with the construction of this new facility. The initial 1-year term is $1. If the city needs to use those extensions, then the monthly rate would be $1,000. Closing costs would be paid for by the buyer. You should all have this in your packet. Does anyone have any questions or comments on it?
And the appraisal will come back at what price?
$1,300,000. That's in your packet. And then the negotiated purchase price is $1,500,000. So that's $200,000 over the appraised price. Does anyone have any questions? Okay. Moving on to 12, appoint and or remove board and committee members. We have one board, which is the Economic Development Advisory Committee. We've got a term that expires on June 30th, and it is Jim Anderson's, who's been on this since 2019. So he does not wish to come back, so we are going to add this to both Channel 3 and social media. If anyone would like to apply, they are more than welcome to. The form is on the city website. If we do not have any applications by Tuesday, this will be removed from the agenda. And then, let's see here, number 13, we've got a discussion item, request to purchase property from the city that is located adjacent to 315 Waldron Road. We have had a request that came into the city to purchase real property adjacent to 315 Waldron Road, which is the old Midas, if you're familiar with that. At this point, there's no price. It's currently being operated as a mechanic shop, and they would like to purchase a section of the city right-of-way on Old Waldron Road that used to connect to Waldron Road. This is basically up for the board to discuss, and if the board chooses that they want to sell this property, a resolution would need to be adopted to authorize the mayor to negotiate and enter into a contract with the buyer. Of course, it would need to be surveyed and appraised, and the final price would come back before the board for approval. So I'll open it up, guys. What are your thoughts on this?
what they wanting to put there?
My understanding is to extend the existing parking lot for the building. Ronnie, can you or Randolph, because I know both of y'all have had dealings, kind of go through some of the parking issues with this property that may help to kind of show why this is being requested?
So the property there is the old Midas, as it's referred to by most folks in the city. Over the years, the last several years, the parking situation there has been less than ideal. Cars been parked to a point where there's no access to the fire to the building in the event of a fire. The apparatus would not make it in. Curtis and I made a number of visits and talked to the folks who were inside running the mechanics shop to do something about the parking lot so that fire apparatus could make entry into the facility in the event of an emergency. The parking has improved considerably. There are days though that for the most part it stays as we would like for it to. We've had issues, not routinely, but throughout. There's been some issues where they've foregone our requests and have parked where they shouldn't be. They've parked up on Old Waldron. I think PD has been notified a number of times of some illegally parked vehicles on Old Waldron. There have been a number of codes complaints as far as stacked tires, open storage, auto parts, transmissions, motors, drivetrains, rear differentials, you name it. It's been placed outside the building. We did, through the efforts of the fire marshal, go inside the building and make some corrections, had some corrections to occur there based on some life safety issues when it comes to egress, exit signage, fire extinguishers, and fire suppression, and the likes thereof. Like I said, the parking is improved considerably from what it used to be. I, for one, don't think that business model that's being performed there now is compliant with the zoning. I know that Midas was there, and it's been there for a number of years, and of course, Midas being, in my opinion, a service muffler repair originally. I think that's the intent for Midas, their go-to. I don't think that that the actual use of that building today is compliant with the C2 zone. So.
Have they always, after you've been there and written them up for certain things, have they always taken care of it?
It took a I like to refer to as a real come to Jesus meeting.
Oh, really?
Get some changes made on the inside of the building.
As far as fire?
It was a number of visits that we made, Curtis and I both made personally to that building. That I mean, it just, I guess it was like water down a duck's back. They didn't take it to heart until.
Did we put a stop work order there for a period of?
I think there was.
24 to 36 hour period until
think there
they
was.
squared away the parking situation.
Yeah, there was.
And yes, I was going to bring him up, let him speak, and just present what he wants to do. Please forgive me if I mispronounce this, but Mr. Ferran Ferdosi?
Correct.
Wonderful. Come on up and let the board know as far as what y'all are wanting to do, what your thoughts are with this, if you don't mind.
This property, we bought it about 5 years ago, and we rented to a few people that they are doing the service. About a month ago, I was noticed that they sent a letter about the violation that he just mentioned. And all of those has been taken care of because I didn't know before, so the tenant was not doing correctly. And since I was notified, I give a notice to the tenant that they have to comply with the law or they have to leave. So they fix all of those, the parking space and the engine and tire, all of them has been taken care of. I was at the city zoning couple of times to check, and they confirmed, yes, they apply. Right now, the issue is, if you look at the map that I think it was part of, it shows that it's a very odd situation on the land. It doesn't have any use for the city, and it's just hurting us about the parking, because there is not much we can do. So if we can buy that, we can extend the parking, and any issue regarding stormwater or other violation will be taken care of before we do anything about that space.
Okay.
How big is that spot?
Hold on. It's right here in the
About,
packet.
3/10 of an acre.
It's a very small part. There is no need for the city, or it's a waste, basically. And I'm sure the city can use from selling it.
So you're the owner of the building, not
That's
the
correct.
business?
Not the business, that's
So,
correct.
according to Randolph, what he just said, you didn't know anything about none of that stuff?
I did not knew about it before, but when I was noticed from the city, from the, I think, fire department, or I went there and I see those issues, and we took care of it.
Okay.
They did comply with those orders, and we routinely track, drive by, make sure the parking's clear. I mean, we were unable to get a piece of fire equipment into the parking lot at all. And then we did find multiple fire code violations and then building code violations in Randolph's area that were corrected, I believe, all of them.
They have been, yes, they have been.
How much is the property worth?
We don't know at this point. It's not been appraised or surveyed yet. That would need to be done if the board decides that, that they want to sell it. We would pass a resolution authorizing me to negotiate and enter into a contract, and we do the surveying and appraisal, and then sit down and go from there. And then, once we have a final amount, that would then be brought back before this board to sign off on or not.
And any cost of appraisal or anything, we will pay for it.
Alderman Coates, Alderman Waldron, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, that's before we widened Waldron Road, that used to be the old, it was a cutaway roadbed. And, we blocked that off when we widened Waldron Road. I really don't see the city, unless we got any kind of, utilities, it looks like we might have a drainage going. I see a ditch there. I don't know where that ditch, I take it goes from, Old Waldron Road this way. I don't know how that affected, but,
We don't need any entrance through there. The same entrance that they have already through our parking, we just extend the parking lot. I already
could,
gave it to some engineer to look at it, the possibility of extending the parking space.
That'd be a good place for a statue of Bruce.
I was thinking that it could be,
I'm not sure what to think of.
I was thinking Juliet with the trash cans nearby.
May I add one last comment? For a service facility, which this is what that should be, a service facility building, I would ask, why do you need that much more parking?
It sounds like from where you've been up there getting on to him, he needs more parking.
So I'm gonna play devil's advocate then.
Their business
So-
is good. That means they are doing good job. A lot of people approaching, and they need more parking space.
Now, are they doing service or are they doing repair?
Service, the same thing that the code allow them, service, light service.
Okay. Any other questions you
Where'd the
would like to ask?
transmission come from?
Well, I mean, this is, the parts that were outside, stored outside, that's been in the past. And like I said, Chief will attest to that as well, that a lot of that area had been cleaned up. In my opinion, a service industry is you drive your car in, you have it serviced, and you drive it home. So if you're, I mean, I know even if you're that busy, and I'm not trying to nitpick somebody's ability to service or repair a car, or to serve a car, but
So if the same car is sitting there for a week, then you feel like it's not a
service.
service?
That's not service.
That's what you're thinking?
That's exactly it.
That makes sense?
That makes sense, but let me ask you this.
Okay?
If the city has checked the location and they have some violation, if they do that, we will empty that place and rent it to somebody else. Having extra parking, I don't think it hurts. The situation of the land is not useful for anybody. That is kind of point that I want to make. There is no need for the city to have that. There is no use.
I
And
don't
for us
think
to
that's
have
I don't think that's the conversation. The conversation is service or,
some of the car is not just change the oil and go or just a filter. In Nashville, for example, when I put my car for service, sometimes 2 or 3 days is there because they don't have enough mechanic to get it to the same day. It happens a lot.
okay, so 2 or 3 days, that's, but when it becomes a week,
I don't know if it comes to the week or not. We don't know.
because if we do that and you build a bigger parking lot there and it ends up full of, broke down vehicles out there. But I guess if we decide to do it and you do what you have to do, I guess codes will take care of the rest.
Exactly. That's my point.
Alderman Coates.
Sitting on the planning commission and boarding zoning appeals for many years, one of the big issues we run into is service and repair, depending on the zoning. I'm not disputing whether you're in the right zoning or doing it correctly per the zoning,
Sure.
but I do think increasing the parking lot is just going to invoke more additional parked cars. And with Waldron Road being one of the major thoroughfares for the city of Verne, coming in and out, it's probably not good visibility to see all the cars parked there in different locations, maybe doing service and or repair, whichever you're doing. But as far as looking at the report, as the staff said, the staff has some reservations regarding this request, since it's a right-of-way there and could be future city need for the property. So, my concern is my thought now is just to keep it the way it is now and let the city remain with the property.
Okay. Does anyone else have any other discussion on this?
Something to think about.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Moving on to Mayor and Alderman comments. Alderman Waldron.
Again, I'd like to emphasize on, I want to call the dog days of summer. Make sure your pets has got ample water and shade, and check on the elderly. You got any neighbors, check on them, it's hot weather. Thank you.
Alderman Coates.
Looking over this agenda tonight, a very long agenda, but I'm just so pleased to see that the city is not only moving forward, but making the right directions and keeping up with technology. And I'd like to thank, tell everybody to come out for July the 4th and see the fireworks.
Wonderful. Vice Mayor, no?
No, sir. Got nothing.
Wonderful. Well, I just want to reiterate that. 4th of July, Independence Day is going to be great at Veterans Memorial Park. Phoenix Rising is the band, and we will have music. They will be singing live music, and then during the fireworks themselves, there will be music playing. So that is wonderful to see and hear. So I hope to see you all there. With that, call this meeting adjourned.